What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another gun guide. This is the series where I go into great detail with all of the stats of every one of the weapons in Black Ops 4 multiplayer. In today's episode, we're finally going to be moving into the SMG category and covering the MX9. Now first up, as always, let's have a look at the damage profile, and the MX9 is quite interesting. We got a damage profile of 32, 28, 24, then we have a linear drop off to 18. And this is really interesting because this is the first time that we've seen this within Black Ops 4. Usually the damage profiles will suddenly step off to the next one. So it'll be 32 damage, and then 1 inch after 32 damage, it'll suddenly be 28 damage. That isn't the case from the 24 to 18 damage range. It will go through each one of the damage values up until that point. This really isn't all that significant. It's not like it's really going to affect too many gunfights. Just thought it was interesting to point that out. So in core game modes, the MX9 will be a 5 to 9 shot kill depending on the range, and in hardcore, it'll be a 1 to 2 shot kill on a standard health enemy, assuming you're not shooting through something. Our rate of fire with the MX9 is 722 rounds per minute, but with rapid fire, you can bump this up to 769 rounds per minute. As for our statistical minimum time to kill, it's going to be 332 milliseconds up close within that very short 5-shot kill range that we'll see in a little bit. And this time to kill potential is quite solid. It's a very competitive time to kill. You'll generally be beating a lot of the assault rifles at point blank range with this, but not all of them. As for when we step off to the longer ranges, when we get to that 9-shot kill range, this is one of the slowest time to kill values I have ever seen in a Call of Duty game at 665 milliseconds. I really don't understand why the developers felt the need to drop this all the way off to a 9-shot kill, but that's currently how it is with the MX9. As for our minimum time to kill potential when you're getting headshots with the high caliber attachment combined with rapid fire, this is quite fast at 234 milliseconds, but of course keep in mind this is within a very short range, and we'll be looking at the ranges in just a little bit here. Moving on to armor, SMGs behave quite a bit different than the assault rifles, tactical rifles, and LMGs that we've already had a look at. With all of those, armor would only ever make it so it would take 1 extra shot to get a kill on an enemy. However, with the MX9, between 0 and 25 meters, it still will be the case, where armor will only take 1 extra shot to kill. However, beyond 25 meters, it's going to take you 2 extra shots to kill an armored user. This brings us to our ranges, and as you can see here, we have a very short 5-shot kill range. This range actually wasn't there at launch. They added this about a month ago now with the big SMG buff, and this will definitely help you at those point-blank ranges, but aside from that, it's not really going to do a whole lot for you. The 6-shot kill range is quite respectable. It stretches out to 25 meters, which will probably be the majority of your gunfights if you're actually treating this like an SMG, as you should. Then beyond 25 meters, it drops off from a 7, 8, and then 9-shot kill. With long barrel, this has no effect whatsoever on that very short 5-shot kill range. However, it will benefit all of the other ranges by increasing them by 60%, which is a really awesome increase, and long barrel isn't a terrible choice with the MX9. As for suppressor, this will reduce all of our range values by 20%. Getting into hardcore, as you can see here, we get a 25 meter 1-shot kill range, which is quite good. It's actually the best in the SMG category. And with long barrel, it does now affect that 1-shot kill range out to about 40 meters, which is extremely good for an SMG. So long barrel is an excellent choice. And suppressor, once again, will reduce that 1-shot kill range by 20%. Moving on to headshots, we get a standard headshot multiplier of 1.1, which means our headshot damage profile is going to be 35, 30, 26, 19. And essentially what this means is that some of those ranges, if you hit several headshots mixed in with body shots, you can reduce the number of shots it takes to kill. But since this is an SMG and it's not ridiculously accurate by any means, this isn't really all that practical. And therefore, without the high caliber attachment, I would say don't even bother going for those headshots. With high caliber, on the other hand, from 0 to 6 meters, 2 headshots will be needed in order for you to reduce that down to a 4-shot kill. However, beyond 6 meters, just mixing in 1 single headshot with your body shots will always be reducing the number of shots it takes to kill, which is extremely helpful with the MX9. As for hipfire, as you can see here, the MX9, Cordite, and SOG 9mm all have the same hipfire spread, and it is a little bit wider than the hipfire spread for the GKS as well as the Spitfire. Having said that, it is still quite good when you compare it to something like an LMG or an assault rifle. Also with the MX9, we have the option to use the laser sight attachment, which will reduce your hipfire spread by about 25%, so it is quite noticeable. Next up, we have idle sway, and as you can see here, the MX9 does have a decent amount of idle sway. I don't think it's the most in the SMG category, but there's definitely some idle sway there, which will affect your ability to hit that first shot at longer ranges. Moving on to recoil, you can see there's absolutely some recoil with the MX9. It generally kicks upwards and slightly to the right. However, this recoil is quite manageable, and generally you can pick people off at a distance that you wouldn't have expected with this gun. As for the recoil with rapid fire, you can see here it does kick upwards and to the right quite a bit faster than it would without rapid fire, so this will affect your shot at those slightly longer ranges. But having said that, I would say the recoil is still quite manageable with rapid fire equipped. This brings us to our magazine capacity, which is decent at 35 rounds with 105 total starting ammo, and with the hybrid mag attachment, we can get 45 rounds with 135 total starting ammo. Our standard reload add time is quite good at 1.37 seconds. However, we also have the option for hybrid mag, which will reduce your reload time down to 0.97 seconds, which is insanely fast. This brings us to our handling and mobility stats, and as you can see here, we get an aim down sight time of 250 milliseconds, which is pretty standard for SMGs. There are a couple SMGs that aim down sight faster though. And our sprint out time is exactly the same at 250 milliseconds, although with the Gung Ho perk, you can reduce this down to 150 milliseconds, or just like with every gun in the game, if you're using Gung Ho and you break your sprint by aiming down sight, you can completely eliminate your sprint out time. As for our movement speed, this is standard for SMGs at 100%, and our aim down sight stray speed is also standard and quite fast at 80%. Now with the MX9, we also have the ability to put the stock attachment on this, and this will increase your aim down sight movement speed all the way up to 90%, which is very, very fast. I don't know if it's really necessary because you already have a very good aim down sight stray speed without stock, but with it, you can bring it up to almost full movement speed. And with that, that wraps it up for all of the important stats for the MX9. With this gun, we don't have an operator mod. However, let's go over all of the other attachments for this gun. When it comes to optics, I personally have no problem whatsoever with the iron sight, so I generally stick to the iron sight, but sometimes I will be running an optic, and if I do, it will just be a reflex sight. For whatever reason, the ELO sight just doesn't work out for me well with this gun. As for the other attachments, the MX9 has a lot of really good attachments to use. You honestly can't go wrong with any of these attachments, although the ones that I tend to gravitate towards are going to be rapid fire, stock, hybrid magazine, as well as high caliber. And this brings us to a couple of great example classes I have for you guys that I really like using with the MX9. First up, we have a super aggressive close quarters MX9 class. This is designed for getting you right up close and personal with enemies. You want to get yourself within that 6-meter range so you have that 5-shot kill. And with this, we're using rapid fire for a slightly faster time to kill. We've got hybrid magazines, so that allows us to deal with multiple enemies very, very quickly and get ourselves back in the fight once we get low within our magazine and need to get a reload in. And we're also using laser sight. That way we start hitting our first shots even faster because we can start hip firing into aiming down sight, and we can do that quite accurately. So it is quite effective if you can get yourself up close and personal and get those first shots off. Our secondary is going to be the Hellion Salvo launcher. We've also got a stim shot on here so we can get ourselves back in the fight as quick as possible. We're using special issue equipment. We've also got scavenger on here because with rapid fire and with this playstyle, you're probably going to be burning through ammo fairly quickly, so you want to be able to replenish that. Then we've got Gung Ho, which for obvious reasons, we want to be able to break our sprint as fast as possible and get our shots down range, so Gung Ho is absolutely necessary on this class. And then Dead Silence because I hate hearing my footsteps and I hate it when enemies are able to pick me up on their acoustic sensor, especially if I'm trying to be aggressive and get up in their face. This particular class setup is quite effective as long as you play to its strengths. You don't want to be challenging people at range with this and aiming down sight because first off, rapid fire is going to make you slightly less accurate, plus then you're not getting any advantage out of your laser sights, and therefore kind of defeats the entire purpose of this class setup. Next up, we have a bit more of an all-around sort of a class setup. With this, we're using the reflex sight, high caliber, long barrel, as well as hybrid mags. Once again, for our gear, we are going to be using stim shot. We also have special issue equipment, and we have the exact same perk setup as well. We've got scavenger, gung ho, as well as dead silence. Now, like I said, with this class setup, it's designed to be a bit more of an all-arounder. You can use this at a little bit of a mid-range because our 6-shot kill range is extended very, very far with that long barrel attachment. You can be somewhat accurate, and I feel the reflex sight helps with that a little bit, helps you at least see your target a little bit better as you're firing your gun. And of course, with this, we also have that opportunity to get a headshot on your enemy, which will reduce the number of shots it takes to kill, and therefore will give you quite a competitive time to kill against assault rifles, as long as you're staying at least within that standard 6-shot kill range. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for today's gun guide. Personally, I think the MX9 is in a pretty good spot. I feel like that 5-shot kill range is quite short, and therefore it still is outclassed by assault rifles in a lot of situations beyond 6 meters. And I also disagree with having a 9-shot kill range with this. I really feel like that is completely overkill and unnecessary to make the gun that weak at longer ranges. But having said that, that part probably won't affect you too much while using this gun because you should never really be within that range where you're challenging somebody where it'll be a 9-shot kill. So overall, yes, the MX9 is a very usable SMG in its current state. However, in general, I would still say that assault rifles, tactical rifles, and LMGs are going to be more dominant even in those somewhat closer ranges. So it's good, but statistically speaking, it doesn't necessarily dominate in any situations. Of course though, I'd like to know in the comment section below, what do you guys think about the current state of the MX9 in Black Ops 4? Do you think it's too weak, too strong, or it's just right where it's at? Let me know what you guys are thinking down below, and also if you guys have missed any of the previous gun guides, I've covered assault rifles, tactical rifles, as well as LMGs already. I will leave a link to the playlist down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.
Yeah.